welcome back to Friday Film Reviews. Yes, back again for another week of reviews of all the films I've watched over the past week. And I didn't go too mental this week, so there's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 films, and 3 of them aren't really films, and I'll get into that now when I start off this thing with No Half Measures, creating the final season of Breaking Bad. This was the exclusive documentary that is included in the Breaking Bad Barrel box set that I showed on my channel a few weeks ago. Got it for Christmas, and it's a 2-hour and 15-minute documentary. Oh, excuse me, my allergies are playing up. It's about the final season of Breaking Bad. Briefly covers the beginnings of the series, and then it goes on to basically give you an overview of all the production, the shooting of the final season. Starting from the first day when everyone arrives and does the read through for the first episode of the new 8 episodes that end the whole series, and it ends with the final day of shooting. And it shows you the final day of shooting for every major cast member, and everyone's saying goodbye, and there's lots of tears that are shed, but there's a lot of fun to be had as well on set. And it's great, funny, sad, and just a really, really cool look into the making of just one of the best seasons of television I've ever seen in my life. So yeah, it was awesome, and there's like a ton of other extras on the Blu-ray, but that's the main feature-length kind of documentary on the final season, and all the other featurettes are almost like deleted scenes of that. So it's a really interesting watch. I absolutely loved it. It was brilliant. 10 out of 10. Just for any Breaking Bad fan, you got to try and find a way to see it. Next, me and Connie watched The Secret Life of Walter Mitty. I reviewed that before, talked about it before. It was just a joy to watch again for the second time. Then we watched Her, starring Joaquin Phoenix, Rooney Mara, Scarlett Johansson as the voice of Samantha, Amy Adams, and Olivia Wilde in a small part as well. It's directed by Spike Jonze, and I thought it was brilliant. Big fan of his directing, of his style of filmmaking, and I love the production design in this film. Everything's so red, and it's kind of like futuristic without being futuristic. It's just like a really cool kind of look into what the future might be like in about 10 years time, I guess. It's not even that futuristic, but just the way everything looked, it was slightly more, I don't know, it was just interesting the way everything was designed in the film, and everything that was put on screen, and the video game that he plays in particular is quite futuristic, I guess you could say, but we're not that far from it, so it's not like, really high concept, futuristic, concepts. So yeah, and of course we got Joaquin plays Theodore, who has just split up with his wife, played by Rooney Mara, and we see her briefly through flashback sequences. She turns up later on in the film, and he's devastated by this. He's very lonely, and they bring out this new operating system, this new phone that has an operating system that talks to you very much in the same way that Siri on the iPhone will talk to you, but it's more like artificial intelligence. And so he picks a female voice, and that voice ends up being voiced by Scarlett Johansson, who voices Samantha, and she gives herself that name, and he finds that odd that she gave herself a name just because she wanted to, and how she can read thousands of books in seconds. And from the moment that she gets activated on Theodore's operating system, she begins expanding her knowledge, expanding her artificial intelligence, and because they're very close to each other, because she's talking to him all day, they end up falling in love with each other, and that is the hook of the movie. And I thought it was so well done. It reminded me of Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, even though it's very, very different to that. Just the feel of it. I loved the love story between a man and a voice, and it was just an interesting concept that was explored well, was written just beautifully. I thought it was acted very well. Not even very well, I would say acted just superbly by Joaquin Phoenix. I thought he was just stellar in this film. Amy Adams, in the limited screen time she had, she's in it quite a bit, but not that much. But the limited screen time that Amy Adams has, she did more in this movie for me than she did in the whole 2.5 hours of American Hustle. That's just me. I thought she was brilliant in this, and I thought Scarlett was fantastic as well, especially considering the fact that Samantha Morton originally was the voice of Samantha, and she was there on set with Joaquin every day doing the scenes, and so Scarlett didn't have that connect with Joaquin as an actor, and so I really wanted kind of find out how that really was for Scarlett, because she hasn't appeared in any of the things on YouTube, like the Q&As and stuff that they've done in screenings. At least not the ones I've seen. So I'd quite like to hear of her kind of side of it. I'm not sure if she spoke to Joaquin before she recorded her lines, but it felt so real, and it was real. Her voice. It's quite a grey area, because people have been saying she should be nominated for awards. People are saying, well, she can't because she wasn't physically in the film. And I disagree with that. I think she did an amazing performance just by using her voice, and I think that's a lot harder, and she made the whole thing very believable. And it was also interesting the way they explored artificial intelligence, because it became more than just a love story, and it would kind of turn into this thing about AI and how dangerous it could be, and how out of hand it can get, and that's kind of explored in the film. But I just loved it. I thought it was brilliant. You know, there's a couple of uncomfortable scenes in there actually that was sexual related. Could have done without them, but overall I thought it was a brilliant movie. Next, the two documentaries that are included in The Hobbit, An Unexpected Journey Extended Edition Blu-ray, which I'll be reviewing on its own, so I'll go more in depth then. But the two 4.5-hour documentary films, and I consider them films. When I watch a special feature on a DVD, it's a special feature on a DVD. But if I watch a special feature on a DVD and it's a 2-hour documentary, or, you know, like Dangerous Days, the making of Blade Runner, like a 4-hour documentary, I consider it a film. It's a film-length documentary, and so I consider these films. And it is a long expected journey, which covers the production of The Hobbit, the first Hobbit film, and then Return to Middle Earth, which covers the pre-production of the first Hobbit film. And they were both brilliant. Me and Connie spent the past 24 days or so just watching, you know, a bit of it every day, usually when we have dinner, and we just loved every second of it. We loved all 9 hours of the documentaries. Would like to have seen more on the 3D and 48 frames per second. Not that I'm a fan of it, but just to hear more of Jackson's perspective on that. Hopefully he'll cover that in the future Blu-ray releases. Next, The Bling Ring, Sofia Coppola's film about the teenagers in Hollywood who would find out when celebrities were away from their home, Google where their home was, and they'd go break in. And I think they broke into Paris Hilton's house like 6 times and just stole millions worth of pounds, millions of dollars of jewelry, money, and were known as the Bling Ring. You know, and I think it happened in like the late 2000s, something like that. And so Paris Hilton actually makes a cameo in this film when she let them use her real house and stuff. And it covers all the people that the houses they broke into. I think someone, I don't even, there was one woman I had no idea who she was, but I think another one was Rachel Bilson, maybe, Lindsay Lohan, you know, people like that, socialites in Los Angeles. So it was, I don't know, for me, the main character, who's a guy, and then another girl who's also a main character, I just found them to be such vacuous kind of waste of space in terms of both the characters and, well, not the actors, but the characters were just so uninteresting to me, and I just didn't find it that compelling at all. Emma Watson was famously in this film, and she was the highlight of the film, and she's kind of aping this girl who was a part of it. I mean, I think they've changed the names, but she's aping this girl who's really like one of those over-the-top American teenage girls who is famous for all the wrong reasons kind of thing. And it's kind of telling that she was a part of the whole deal in breaking into these houses, but because she kind of worked her way into the limelight in this reality kind of bubble, that she actually got away with not going to prison for a few years like the other people did. From what the film tells me, anyway. I didn't really look up the true story, but The Bling Ring, for me, I loved the stylistic choices that Sofia Coppola made. I really like her direction. The editing was probably the best part of the film. The music worked well in its context, but for me, there just wasn't enough there to grip me or compel me or really kind of enjoy it that much. The best parts of the film were Emma Watson and her mother, played by Leslie Mann. They're really funny together, but you know, if the whole movie was about Emma Watson's character, I'd probably enjoy it a lot more, but the two main characters just did nothing for me, and so, yeah, it was just okay. It was a good film, nothing more than that, really. Next, the Dirty Wars. And I'm now working my way through all the Oscar-nominated documentaries for this year. Dirty Wars is basically about JSOC, and this is kind of, it was a very secretive kind of division of, I don't know, the United States government. I mean, I don't know the technicalities of it, but it's this, JSOC was this, or is this thing, this group that targets, you know, like Al-Qaeda, you know, stuff like that. I have no idea, I've literally completely clueless to all this, but they target, you know, terrorists and they bomb them and they attack them and this kind of thing. And this journalist who has been doing this kind of thing for years, he's the subject of the documentary, and the filmmaker follows him as he investigates this family who, some of their family were murdered, which we later found out is by this JSOC division, and there was no reason for it. And as a matter of fact, one of the people who was murdered was actually a police commander and was working with the US, but he was killed anyway. They shot these people and they came in with knives and they dug the bullets out of their bodies. And this journalist, he uncovers everything, and he kind of, it's very filmic. He puts up all the photos and the clues and evidence on his wall, and he pins them there, and he's trying to figure things out. And it seems like a fiction, but it's not. And he goes to Congress, I think, or he goes to this high court to kind of appeal for this thing, and they're like, well, we're not going to talk about things that happened a couple of years ago, and no one's interested. There's this grave injustice, and no one cares. And then over to like Somalia and Yemen, there was this bombing, and if you just go there and look, you can see it's US missiles that were used. All the ratings there, it's mental. And there's a shot in this where you actually see a dead baby, which for me, I could have gladly gone my whole life without seeing that, but there you go. So any warning to anyone who watches Dirty Wars, there is a 10-second shot of a dead baby. It's not graphic or bloody, but it is a baby who was lifeless, and it's just horrific to see. The narration by this journalist seemed a little self-serving and self-indulgent at times, but at the same time I hugely respect the man and everything he stands for and everything he does and everything he puts his life on the line for. Ultimately, this movie kind of petered out towards the end. Nothing was really resolved, and I feel like that's kind of the tragic thing about it, is that all these terrible things that happen, it's never going to get resolved. There's never, for me personally, I just don't think there's ever going to be a strong enough push by the people to rectify what is horrible and just despicable and disgusting with this world, and especially in relation to government and stuff like that. There's just no way that enough people are going to stand up and and fight for it, me included, because I don't see the point. I don't see the point. Might be terrible of me to say, but when people stand up for things and they put their lives in danger to stand up for things like that, and there's so many people who just don't give a shit and don't care. It's not that I don't care. It's just I don't see the point. And this again is a whole other thing now. But basically, yeah, the film was really good, but towards the end, it didn't have a great conclusion to me. But in these kind of real story things, sometimes you don't have them. That's life, But it was really good, and I do recommend people watch it just so that they know, especially in regards to Obama, and just make up your own mind. Just watch it. Dirty Wars. Next, In a World. This is a really great film that was a great kind of remedy to the horrific nature of Dirty Wars. It's a film starring Lake Bell, who also wrote and directed the film, and she's this woman who's a voiceover artist, and her father was one of the big voiceover names back in the day, along with the guy who does all the movie trailers, who passed away recently, Don something Fontaine. And so her father, he was like the second best guy in terms of doing voiceovers for trailers and stuff like that, and adverts. And she wants to try and do it herself, and he's like, don't be stupid, they're not going to have women doing the voiceovers for these trailers. And apparently Lake Bell, the person, she got this idea from realizing that female voices aren't really used in these big kind of voiceovers, and the title, In a World, is based off that really kind of stereotypical, in a world where so-and-so, the movie trailer thing. And I thought it was quite funny, and I thought the concept was fun, original, and it was acted really well. It was funny. There was this kind of awkward humour at times, but I thought she was fantastic. There was a great supporting cast. Everyone was just a really likable movie. Everyone was really likable in this, apart from the people who were supposed to be unlikable. But 3 really big cameos as well, I thought, which was quite cool for a low-budget independent film. And overall, I just really loved this film. Just a joy. I'd give it like an 8 out of 10. Really solid, fun film. Just great stuff. Thought Lake Bell did a great job. Hope she continues to make movies, because she's a talented writer and director and actress, I thought. And finally, a movie I'm not going to talk about, but I'm going to mention that I watched it, Cutie and the Boxer, another Oscar-nominated documentary. Suffice it to say, it's probably the best documentary I've ever seen, and it's definitely my favourite documentary. It's not the best I've seen, but it's definitely my favourite. I wouldn't say the best, sorry. But I think it just beat out Man on Wire as my favourite documentary that I've ever seen, because I just connected with everything this movie was about. And I'll talk about it in a whole other video. And if you watch all of these Friday film reviews, if there's anyone out there Is that you holding your hand up there? You watch all of them? No? Oh, you're just stretching. Okay. Okay. Well, no one watches every single one of these videos, but just so you know, a few weeks ago I think I said I watched blue as the warmest color, and I just said I'm not even gonna get started on that. I'm gonna make a whole video about it. So, Cutie and the Boxer. Suffice it to say, 10 out of 10, 5-star film for me, and I'm gonna make a video dedicated to it in a series which will be me talking about the films I watched last year that I gave 10 out of 10 and thought were just standout films, and I'll be making full, dedicated, in-depth reviews on them, including Blue as the Warmest Colour, including Cutie and the Boxer, films like Rush, Out of the Furnace, Mud, Before Midnight, La Grande Bellezza. Yeah, so there's quite a few. I think about 10 films I gave 10 out of 10 last year, so, and this is definitely one of them. Cutie and the Boxer, just a fantastic documentary, and I'll get all into that in another video at another time. Suffice it to say, again, as I said, it was awesome. Thank you for watching. I still managed to drag this out for like 16 minutes. I'm actually considering retiring this series. I don't know, it seems to be losing steam every week. I don't know, let me know what you think. But I'm thinking about just sticking to writing about every film I watch and keeping my reviews on Letterboxd, which I'm loving, by the way. Great website. I'm going to do another video about it actually. But if you're watching this far and you're watching this video right now, let me know if you like these videos, and I'll keep doing them. That's fine. It doesn't really take much effort because it's just a single take thing. But you know, if it's losing steam, people are getting bored of it and hearing so many reviews in one video and like a 20-minute video every week, then I think I'll just stick to my reviews, and I'll just link you to my Letterboxd account where you can see my written reviews for every film that I watch. So there it is. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.
He says he's really cool, but I think he's a tool. Even though I'm sure he's a quite nice guy, really. He's a quite nice guy, really.